Hey, what's up? Nathan here from PH Studios. Welcome to the first tutorial from the Tower Defense content series. This tutorial is going to cover an introduction to Garageband, and this will cover the Garageband sub-series, so to speak, on the Tower Defense content series. I already did a tutorial on Garageband before, but that was using an older version of Garageband. So I want to do it again on the brand new version that you will have available. Hopefully you're using if you're using GarageBand, hopefully you're using the same version. If not, feel free to send me a message and I'll see if I can help you out with any of the differences. But anyway, I opened my GarageBand a few months to a year ago and on this new computer, and I already have several projects here, so you might see a different screen than I do. Whichever screen you see, close that out, or if you see new project, click new project and let's go to loops. Just something very simple, and double click the loops sort of button and name it my song or whatever it says here and click create. So just so we have the default values and just so we can go over the user interface. For the first tutorial on any new program, I like to just go over the interface. So I do not cover anything in depth, just where to find things and what the program looks like, basically. Okay, so after I created the project, we can see it here. Now on the left side, you can see the individual tracks. Like if we have a guitar, a drum, and a bass, you'll see 3 tracks, a guitar and a drum and a bass. And we can modify the volume and certain effects that we'll cover on later tutorials. But you can sort them however you want. You can make them louder or more quiet and things like that in this side here. You can label them whatever you want to. You can name them something else than what they already are. And just very basic stuff here. Now in the center page right here, now if you have another thing on the right side, it'll look kind of like this. But what this is the actual audio representation of that track, either in a audio form or a piano roll, or some people like to call the audio form the waveform or something like that. And that will be displayed in this section here. Now we can move it around or do some basic effects in this section here. Like we can modify the audio from here to here and make it become quiet to loud and things like that. So we can modify it, the volume of the track throughout its life. So we can go quiet, loud, quiet, more quiet, even louder, and then things like that, without creating a new track. So that's what we can do here. And I'll go more in depth on that in the next tutorial. Okay, now, let's talk about adding a new track. What this button does down here at the bottom left is creating a new track. Now we have a choice between a software instrument, a real instrument such as voice, guitar, bass, or any instrument that can be captured by a microphone, or an electric guitar, and that will use a GarageBand amplifier and just generic effects that you can use. And down here we can modify, like if we choose an electric guitar, we can modify that it's connected with this, whatever we choose here. I hear the sound from this, and just yeah, you can modify certain things that way. So if we create a software instrument, it defaults it to the grand piano. So now we have one track called grand piano. And now the I here on the right side, this is for the track information. So we can modify the individual track labeled grand piano. Now we can modify it by either changing its type from grand piano to, let's say, an electric piano. And that will modify it to an electric piano. Or we can edit it the electric piano, not just change its type, but we can edit it by adding certain effects in this page right here. And again, I'm just going over the user interface, so don't think I'm going far in depth. I'm just showing you what this page is and what it does, and I'll go in depth on that in a later tutorial. Okay, so now let's go to just do one thing here. Alright, so we have several electric pianos here, and I just duplicated the same track several times, but we have several electric piano tracks. And now, the reason I did that is because I want to talk about the master track, and the master track allows us to change basically every track you see here. We can modify its volume, we can add a generic echo across every track, and if you actually want to see the master track, you just go to track and then show master track. And this, you can see the master track down here, and that governs all these tracks, so we can make a really quiet song. Even though these are very loud, the volume here is very loud, we can make it very quiet just by decreasing the master track's volume. So that's what the master track does. Okay, so now that was the I, we can save the instrument to something else and all that stuff. So now what this icon does, the one to the left of the I is a loop, and you can tell it by its icon is a loop. And what a loop is it basically, okay, I just cleaned up my tracks here, but a loop is basically a already generated, fully functional loop that you can use. It's usually very short, 8 beats, but they can come up to a very large loop, which is 32 beats right here. And it's either a software instrument, like you see here, which means you can edit it in the piano roll, or it's an actual fully functional song. You cannot edit it in a piano roll. It actually has a waveform, and it was probably recorded from an orchestra or something like that. Let me just decrease this so you don't get blasted again. And we just click one of these and drag them in, and as you can see, the green is a piano roll and the blue is just standardized audio. Now if we double click one of these, we get this thing flying up from here, and we can modify the piano roll and we can modify the audio region, but there are two different things. The piano roll we can actually modify to sound completely different. We can take out all this and modify it, and the waveform we can only cut it and move it, adjust it, and all that stuff. So that was this icon down here. We can click it down here or just double click it up here. As you see down here, we have just our basic audio recordings. We can rewind it, go back to the very beginning, play and record. And here we can see a representation of the track and where it is located based on the either time measures, or we can see the key and tempo and measure at this specific point in time. And this button here allows you to enable metronome and disable it, and we can modify this button to create a loop, and this will allow us to loop a certain point of the song and it'll just play indefinitely. If you click play and enable the song, and it'll keep on doing that until you stop it. That's basically it for this tutorial. Next tutorial we're going to do an overview on the tower defense menu that I created from several different loops, and we'll go into the audio region and individual modifications of the track. So I hope to see you next time.